Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Yupari, your daily painting show. In today's episode, we will be painting this portrait of Ginger, a chocolate Labrador. And I was sent this photo reference actually this morning through my website by Fred. So thank you so much, Fred, for the photo reference, and I hope you enjoy today's video. And so if you would like to send me images of your pets or wildlife photography that you have that I can use for a painting episode, feel free to send it to me through direct message on my Instagram account. There is a link to my Instagram account, Yupari Fine Art, in the description box, and also feel free to contact me on my website. And here is my website, the name of my website. So all of the links will be in the description box down below in case you have any pictures of your dogs, your cats, your parrots. Oh, I really want to paint a parrot, by the way. And let's get to the painting demonstration, okay? So I filled up the background, right? So we have the background filled up now. I am using water mixable oil paints yet again, so I think I'm going to stick with water mixables for a while. Okay, so we're working on an 11 by 14 inch cotton canvas, and I'm going to be working with mass. So this is mass right there. So you're basically seeing one large mass for the background, one large mass for where the head of Ginger, the chocolate Labrador, is going to fit. Excuse me. So now we're going to put in some of the halftones. And so we're going to be sculpting out these large major planes. And I'm treating this portrait just the same as I would with a portrait painting of a human subject. That is, I'm looking for these large shapes and major planes. So as I've been explaining in the past few days, with the water mixable oil paints, I'm not using any mediums, and if you want to know exactly what materials I'm using, you can feel free to scroll down and I'll have all that information typed up for you. So I'm just using water to clean the brushes and to occasionally thin the paint. Yes, I do thin the paint with the water as opposed to a medium, and I find that the drying is pretty good. I've heard some people suggest to strictly use medium to thin out the paint, but I think that it's working pretty fine, diluting the paint with just the water. So we're just sculpting out some very simple planes there. So there we have the start of where the snout is going to fit. And so one major advantage here is that the first layer that we put in, just the simple two masses that we put in, were very thin, and so they kind of latch on to the canvas very quickly. So that, in a sense, that allows me to cover more. And we're using the alla prima technique, which is the technique that is my favorite one these days, where you're working wet on wet, exactly as you're seeing right now. So very quickly and very swiftly now, we have the basic framework, so to speak, of our chocolate Labrador's head. Now in the photograph, I can't really see the feet too well, or the torso, so I'm actually going to use that to my advantage with the cropping and the composition of the picture. This is a wonderfully taken photograph, so thanks again, Fred, for sending me this picture. I really do like the chiaroscuro of the photo reference, and I'm going to be using the chiaroscuro in the painting. That is, I'm going to be emphasizing the light and dark, emphasizing the light and shadow. So the background is going to be fairly dark, and at the end, you're only going to see a couple brush strokes indicating the dog's torso and the dog's paws. So I'm going to keep it fairly simple, and the areas of the most render are going to be, in particular, the eyes, the head, the snout. And so we're basically just starting to put in some more indications of the darks. And so that's me moving my chair in the background. But anyway, now we're going to put in some more of a cooler note. So we're using the titanium white with a little bit of the cobalt blue. You can see how these brush strokes are sticking on very, very nicely. It did take me quite a while to adjust from the the traditional oil paints to the water mixables, and I'm really, really enjoying the water mixables these days. And if you're wondering why I'm using water mixables so much, I mean, truth be told, okay, truth be told, story time here as I'm starting to paint in these lighter planes. And you've seen me do the same kind of things, working general to specific with that large shape for the dog's head, those larger halftones that we painted in. Now we're starting to subdivide the planes. So again, going back to the story of why I'm using water mixables, there are many reasons for it. One is that I actually was running out of odorless mineral spirits the day I painted the flowers in the vase. So I had the water mixables in hand, and I was like, might as well give it a try. Um, but another thing is that it really saves you money. The water mixables, not only do you not have to buy odorless mineral spirits, but at the same time, really, like, I don't have to spend much on mediums. I can clean the brushes much more easily. So lately, water mixables have been my preferred medium to use, and especially with the fact that it gets kind of sticky. Water mixable oil paints, if you've never tried them before, and if you're an oil painter and you've been working with oil paints for some time, they don't feel exactly the same. Notice how I'm kind of adding on that darker plane. So that plane right there, I'm making it a little bit darker than it needs to be, just so that I can come back in and start to add more and more layers. And eventually we'll get into some of the texture for the fur on our chocolate Labrador. But the way that the paint handles is very it's very similar, but it's similar in that it takes a while to dry. Like oil paint is supposed to take a while to dry, and it does. But it's a little more sticky. Like it feels almost kind of gooey. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's actually something I'm using to my advantage, because the way that the paint sticks onto the surface, that kind of gooey kind of feeling that I get from it actually enables me to paint multiple layers wet on wet very, very, with great facility. So now we're pretty much all over the place in terms of the value arrangement. So the halftones are pretty much a mix between the burnt umber, the titanium white, and a little bit more of the burnt sienna. So that right there is the burnt sienna. And I'm really trying to push the light. I'm not terribly worried about any kind of details. So I know many of us really want to, get into the details, like the highlights on the eyes, or the yellow surrounding the pupil of the dog's eyes, because it's very catching. It's very catching to our eyes. But I think just on a practical level, it's just much easier to fill in, so to speak, those larger forms, and then kind of place the features onto it. And it's in exactly the same way that I approach portrait paintings of humans. And I'm kind of feeling like it's been a while since I filmed the portrait painting of a human, so I kind of want to do that again sometime soon. So I'm really on the lookout for a parrot. If you have a parrot and you're willing to send me a photo reference either through my Instagram or through my website, please feel free to send me some pictures of parrots. I really want to paint a parrot. Any kind of parrot. I really love the feathers and all the colors. And so just like I said, I would be building onto that dark shape, and that's what I'm doing. So now wet on wet, I'm using less of the water. Okay, so right there, I'm starting to blend. And by blending, I don't mean trying to create value via blending, but rather edge. So I blend for edge. I blend to try to get a softer edge, so that I can have more control over the basically the focal points of this painting. And as you can see, we're really starting to push the light um, on our chocolate Labrador's snout. And we threw in a little bit of a warmer tone there for the nose. And now we're going to transition very quickly now into the smaller plane divisions. So now we're in the smaller plane divisions. So you see how the form for our dog has been sculpted out. You get a sense of the volume of our Labrador's head. Now the idea here is to now finesse these larger forms and really get the full extent of the volume. And I'm becoming much more confident with the way that this medium is handling. So I did say that I typed up the materials for you in the description box. That's true, but I can also tell you these are the Winsor and Newton water mixables. Fairly inexpensive paints. They did take me a long time to get used to, but you can really see if you're watching this in 1080p. So if you're watching this in HD, you can really see how the layers are starting to stick very nicely, and you can see kind of the brushiness in the background. So water mixable, just like traditional oil paint, you can get some really nice effects with the brush strokes, and we're a little over the halfway point now, so the halfway point in today's episode. So you're really getting a sense of how the volume is taking up much more of our time. Much more focus is placed into the volume. Even though there's lots of detail, even though there's lots of fur, the whiskers, which I think I actually forgot to paint in. I'm sorry, Fred. I forgot to put Ginger's whiskers in there. But in any case, I am running kind of late. I'm usually one video ahead each day. So like, suppose Monday, you're getting footage that I filmed and completed on Sunday. I am a day behind. So I am moving fairly quickly these days just because my cousin got married. So I'm not going to share too much. I did say I would share some of my, my life with you. So my cousin, Christine, did get married on Wednesday, and that kind of did set me back one filming day, but it was much deserved for me to be there for my cousin. I was so happy for her. But in any case, just letting you know, kind of behind on footage, but I'm gonna do the best that I can to catch up, so to speak. So now with the titanium white, and the paint is thinned out a little bit, okay? It's thinned out with a little bit of the water. Single brush stroke time, and there. Now we have the light of the eye, and now it's just a matter of fitting in all of those smaller shapes for the eyes, including the other eye is going to be just a single brush stroke as well. So now with only about 7 minutes left, how about we get into some of the even smaller shapes? So now you have many more close-up shots featuring the features of our chocolate Labrador. Don't know why there's such a momentary pause here though. What was I doing? I think I was mixing the paint at this point. So when you're in close-up, obviously there's not going to be a shot of the palette, so it's kind of just us having a little conversation here, just you and me. And so we're pushing a little bit more of the light for the dog's eye. And of course, feel free to comment down. What are you painting today? What are you working on today in the studio? Are you working on a pet portrait, landscape, portrait of a human? Let us know. And very easily here, we're starting to put in this little light for the Labrador's eye on the left side of the screen relative to you. Very simple there. And that is my fan brush that's completely worn out, but oh well, we're still using that fan brush to reduce glare. And remember, glare is just when the paint is bouncing back. And let me tell you another thing that's very speculative, so don't quote me on this. But I find that I have much less glare with my water mixables. And I can only speak for the Winsor Newton. And I think only 2 of the tubes that I have of paint are Holbein. I find that the paint glares less. Maybe it's less oily. I have no idea. But I find that these paints are glaring much less, even with the amount of paint that I'm putting onto the canvas. So now let's move on to another little detail shot with only just under 5 minutes left in today's episode. Sounds like I'm counting down. I'm sorry about that. But in any case, the camera is at an angle. If you can tell there with a little bit of the white of the canvas showing on the side. That is of the canvas panel. So we do have kind of an angle shot here, just so I can get my camera much closer to our subject or to our painting. And now we're just going to be pushing some of the forms for the dog's nose. And you can see a little bit of a bluish color here now. So that is the titanium white. See how the paint is sticking very nicely? You know, I'm going to keep saying that. I'm continuously amazed at the way, at how these water mixable oils handle. So it's a fan brush just to help to eliminate some glare. So we're pushing the light on the nostril to the left of your screen here a little bit brighter than how we're seeing it in the photo reference, just to get kind of an effect. And these days, I'm really enjoying the effect of the brushstrokes. I'm really starting to feel more comfortable letting the brushstrokes show. So you can see how each individual brushstroke is kind of mapped out there, or it maps out the form. And just a few more little smaller shapes for the dog's nose. And like I said yesterday, I am trying to edit the videos to be around 20 minutes now, just so that I don't overwhelm you with too much footage. But just know that I will at some point, I'm very likely to upload longer videos in the near future, but I'm just trying out this new philosophy. Imagining each day as a blank canvas. Imagine you wake up each morning, right? Every single day is like a blank canvas filled with endless possibilities. Just the very idea of producing a new painting every single day and producing a new video about that painting every single day and presenting that to people, presenting that to you, more importantly, every single day is one of my greatest ambitions, I think, ever. But it's also allowing me kind of the freedom to loosen up a little bit, so you can really see how these brushstrokes are showing through. And now another single brushstroke time to push the light even more. That's just with our cadmium yellow and titanium white. And let's just slap on a signature, and we're going to call today's painting finished. So it's just a titanium white. There we go. That being said, I really hope that you enjoyed today's episode. I hope it helps you out. And remember, in a world that can be so negative, be the spark that ignites positivity amongst all of us. I really do hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll be back again with our next episode very soon.